Did you know that purifying silver is very similar to narrowing your research topic? How? I'm glad you asked. Silver is found in the environment among other base metals. To separate the silver from the base metals, a silversmith heats the silver to temperatures between 2600 and 3600 degrees Fahrenheit and observes the silver as it separates from the base metals. The silver is then drained out, leaving the other elements behind. Similarly, a research question is hidden among interesting facets of your topic, and as a researcher, you will have to separate a focused research question from all the other equally interesting possibilities. I'm Dr. Toria Bond. In this session, you will be able to identify 4 ways of narrowing your research topic. You'll be able to develop a research question and distinguish between a research report and a research study. Fortunately, narrowing your research topic doesn't involve high heat. Instead, we'll look at 4 ways to narrow your topic and then develop a researchable question. The 4 ways we will look at include by population, by classification, by location, and by time frame. Let's see how these considerations help us to narrow the topic of eating disorders. Clearly, the topic of eating disorders is too broad to write about in a short paper. Why? According to the National Eating Disorder Association website, eating disorders can be classified as those recognized by clinicians and those that are not recognized as disorders. Eating disorders can be further classified by causes such as biological or psychological. This topic could also include a discussion of symptoms, treatment, and prevention, among others. This could be a bit much for a 10-page research paper. So how can we narrow this topic down to a researchable question that can be discussed within 10 8.5 by 11-inch papers, double-spaced in size 12 times New Roman font? One way to narrow a topic is by the population that will be examined. We could look at eating disorders in elementary-aged children, adolescents, or young adults. We could further focus on just men or just women. We might even consider focusing on a particular race or ethnicity. At this point, let's say we will study eating disorders in women over 50 years of age. If the research topic is still too broad, consider narrowing the topic according to the types or classifications that exist within the topic. In our example of eating disorders, we know that there are recognized classifications of eating disorders. Those classifications include anorexia, bulimia, compulsive overeating, and several others. At this point, let's say we will investigate anorexia in women over 50 years of age. Still too broad? Let's consider narrowing the topic by the time frame in which the investigation will take place. For example, maybe I'm interested in women over 50 diagnosed with anorexia in the past 2 years, or past childbearing age, or who have recently lost a loved one. The descriptors past 2 years, past childbearing age, or after the recent loss of a loved one refer to the time frame in which the investigation will take place. So what do you think of investigating anorexia in women over 50 diagnosed in the past 2 years? Our topic is becoming more realistic, but it's not quite researchable yet. How else can we narrow the topic? Since it is not practical to study women over 50 everywhere who have been diagnosed with anorexia in the past 2 years, you might consider narrowing the topic by location. Perhaps we will consider focusing on women over 50 who have been diagnosed with anorexia in the past 2 years within a particular treatment center. They might also be part of a specific support group. They may be living within a specific geographic region. Whatever decisions you make as a result of narrowing the topic by population, classification, time frame, and/or location, make sure that you have access to the information you want to analyze. What if I don't know any women over 50 diagnosed with anorexia within the past 2 years? Consider changing the population to one you do have access to. Maybe you have a friend who is a nurse who facilitates an eating disorder support group at the high school in your neighborhood. Your research topic might be changed to eating disorders among females in XYZ High School's eating disorder support group. So far, we have considered narrowing the topic of eating disorders by population, classification, location, and time frames. If we stopped at this point and began our research, our final product would be similar to a term paper or research report. A research study, however, requires a question worthy of investigative study through one or more scientific methods. No one may care whether or not women over 50 with eating disorder are high scorers of the NBA 2K13 video game. but they may care about eating disorders among females attending XYZ High School's eating disorder support group. So formulate your research question by asking yourself what you want to know about the topic. For a short paper, I may want to know what influences female students with eating disorders to participate in a support group at their high school. For a dissertation, I may want an answer to this question for a large school district or the state, depending on the information I have access to. At this point, you can mix and match any number of elements for an interesting research question.